Sheldon versus Paige isn't even close, and you already think you know which way that goes. So the fans calling her the smarter kid aren't making anything up. Every win they point to is real. This was never about who knew more, and the show quietly stopped keeping score long before the comment sections did. The first thing Paige ever takes from Sheldon isn't a right answer. It's his spot. You have to understand what Sheldon's whole sense of self is sitting on, because it's thinner than it looks. He isn't the smartest kid in his grade because he skipped his grade. He isn't the smartest kid at his school because by this point he's sitting in a college classroom while other 10-year-olds are learning long division. His entire identity runs on being the only one. Not the best of a group, the only member of the group. There's nobody to compare him to, which means there's no way for him to lose. Every adult around him treats him like a weird little miracle because he's the only weird little miracle they've ever had to deal with. That setup is really comfortable, and it's also really fragile, and I don't think Sheldon knows that yet. Being one of a kind means you never get tested. You get admired. Those feel the same from the inside, and they are not the same at all, and the show is about to prove it. So when the writers want to hurt him, they don't need to give him a wrong answer. They just need to give him a second Sheldon that he has to deal with himself. Season 2, Episode 2 is called A Rival Prodigy and Sir Isaac Neutron, which tells you they weren't being subtle about it. Paige Swanson shows up as another 10-year-old sitting in Dr. Sturgis's graduate-level class, which up to that point was Sheldon's whole world. It's the place where he gets treated seriously by adults. It's where Sturgis, a grown man with a real career in physics, talks to him like a colleague instead of a kid. And then Paige sits down in the same room, and Sturgis bonds with her. That's it. That's the trigger. The episode isn't built around Paige proving she's smarter with some big classroom showdown where she solves something he can't. It's built around Sheldon being jealous, and the summary of that episode says so plainly. His problem isn't that she's right. His problem is that he thinks somebody chose her. And then it follows him home because Mary invites Paige's family over to the Cooper house. So now the kid who took his spot in the one room where he felt important is sitting in his living room, with her mom, Linda, and her dad, Barry, being polite to his mother. There is no version of the day where he gets away from her. The classroom was bad enough, and now she's in the place where he eats dinner. Now here's the part people skip when they use this episode as evidence that Paige is the better brain. Sheldon has been corrected before. Adults have told him he's wrong plenty of times across this show, and it barely lands on him, because he's already decided they're either mistaken or not paying attention. Being wrong doesn't threaten him. Being liked second does. What Paige actually breaks in that first appearance isn't his knowledge. It's the idea that he's one of a kind, and that idea was doing a lot of heavy lifting. Fans have picked up on this too, and it's one of the sharper things you'll read in those threads. A bunch of rewatchers argue that the most important thing Paige does isn't answer any specific question. It's that she can make Sheldon look unsure of himself. He's used to running every room he's in, so a kid his own age who refuses to accept that he's the boss makes him play worse than he actually is. She doesn't have to be better than him. She just has to not back down, and he falls apart on his own. Which is also where this whole comparison starts running into a wall, and it's worth stopping on for a second, because it's going to matter more and more as this goes on. The show never gives you a test. There's no scene where somebody sits these two down, scores them, and reads out the results. Nobody says a number. There's no IQ comparison anywhere. No full transcript of their answers side by side. No moment where an adult with any authority declares one of them the better student. Everything anybody has ever argued about these two is built out of moments, not measurements. And moments are slippery, because a moment only proves what happened in that moment. The fandom wiki page for Paige does actually call her smarter than Sheldon, and fans quote that constantly like it settles the whole thing. But that line is somebody's opinion typed into a wiki, not something the show ever says out loud, and there's a real difference between a plot fact and an editor's take. 9 episodes of a sitcom is not a controlled experiment. There's a version of this argument the rewatchers get right, and it's the difference between knowing something and being smart. If Paige knows an answer Sheldon doesn't, that proves she knew that answer. It doesn't prove her brain is bigger. People mix those two up constantly, and once you start watching for it, half the evidence in these debates stops holding up. So when you hear that Paige beats Sheldon in Sturgis's class, what you're really hearing is that she walked into the single friendliest place on earth for Sheldon Cooper and made him uncomfortable in it. That's not nothing. That's actually a lot. But taking Sturgis's attention inside a classroom is the easy version of this. because a classroom is the one place Sheldon actually knows the rules. The real problem starts when the show drags both of them somewhere he has no idea how to behave. Paige's real advantage over Sheldon was never that she knew more things than he did. It's that she works everywhere and he only works in one place. And the writers figured this out fast, because look at where they keep putting these two. After that first classroom episode, they almost never fight in a classroom again. Every time the show wants Paige and Sheldon in the same scene, it picks a setting that has nothing to do with physics, and it does that on purpose. If the point of the character was to be a better student, you'd keep her in class. They take her out of class immediately. Season 2, Episode 7, Carbon Dating and a Stuffed Raccoon, puts them in a museum. Not a lab, not a lecture hall, a museum, which is basically a school for people who are having fun. Paige wants to go into an exhibit about early humans, and Sheldon doesn't want to go in. She pushes him on it. That's the whole beat, and honestly, the details on that scene are a little thin in the record, so I'm not going to hang the entire video on it. But the shape of it is exactly what you need to notice, because Sheldon isn't losing an argument about facts there. He's losing an argument about whether to walk through a door. Think about how small that is as a challenge, and how completely it works. Nobody's asking him a question he can't answer. He's being asked to be curious about something that isn't already his, and he can't do it, and a girl his own age can. The show swapped out the test, and he didn't notice the test had changed. Later that same season, in the sleepover episode, it goes even further. Sheldon gets worried that missing out on normal kid stuff is going to leave him messed up as an adult, so he decides to fix it, and he tries to be a regular child on purpose. Meanwhile, Paige and Missy are just being regular children, no strategy involved, including Paige telling a ghost story. And that side by side is brutal for him because his version of being a kid looks like homework. He's studying childhood while she's having one. That episode is also the first time the show puts Paige next to Missy instead of next to Sheldon. And hold on to that, because it comes back in a way nobody sees coming. Then Season 4, Episode 4, Bible Camp and A Chariot of Love. And this one's my favorite because it's so far outside his wheelhouse. Mary and Linda decide both kids are going to vacation Bible school, which neither of them wants. And instead of being miserable together, they turn it into a competition. Scripture, a church basement, zero physics. And Paige meets him head on in it. That one matters more than it looks.
She picked the wrong fat-filled atheist to mess with.
Right.
Because Bible camp is not a subject either of them can prepare for the way they'd prepare for a class. It's not their world. It's not even a place where being a prodigy helps you, and they still find a way to go at each other, which tells you the fight was never really about the material. Put these two anywhere, and one of them will start keeping score. 3 settings: a museum, a sleepover, and a church program, and he doesn't get a clean win in any of them. Here's what that range actually buys her. Paige can sit in a graduate class and keep up, then go tell ghost stories at a sleepover, then go compete over Bible verses, and she doesn't visibly change gears to do it. Sheldon has one mode. He runs the same operating system in every single room, and when the room doesn't reward that operating system, he doesn't adapt. He just gets more Sheldon about it. That's why he loses these. Not because she outthinks him, but because the game changes, and he doesn't. Fans have a nice way of describing her that gets at this. They say Paige is basically Sheldon's brain plugged into Missy's social skills, which is a scary combination if you're the kid who only has the first half. And this is the strongest part of the case for Paige, so let me be fair to the other side of it, because the fandom has been fighting about exactly this for years, and both sides have a point. One camp says being able to work in different rooms is what intelligence actually is. Knowing things is easy, and applying yourself in situations you didn't prepare for is the hard part, and Paige does the hard part, while Sheldon fails it constantly. The other camp says all you've really got here is a highlight reel. 3 scattered wins across a few seasons isn't a scorecard, it's a montage. Sheldon spends years doing sustained scientific work, and Paige beating him at Bible camp doesn't cancel that out. And they're not wrong either, because the show genuinely never puts the two of them through the same test at the same time. Every single one of these matchups is a different game with different rules. That argument doesn't have a winner, which is why it's still running years later. But there's something both sides walk right past. Every single one of these losses is a loss Sheldon signed up for. He chose to compete at Bible camp. He chose to try being a normal kid. He walked into the museum on his own 2 feet. He engaged, he lost, and he moved on because deep down, none of it scared him. So Paige can beat him in his own subject and beat him in rooms he doesn't even understand, which is more than any other kid on this show ever manages. Except none of that is what convinced Sheldon she was actually dangerous. That took somebody else noticing her, and it wrecked him in a way losing an argument never did.
Why would you want Paige to come here?
You know her?
Oh, I know her.
Everything up to now is 2 kids arguing. Kids argue. It doesn't mean anything until somebody with real power agrees with one of them. That's what makes this next one different, and it's the piece I'd put in front of anybody who thinks the Paige argument is just fan hype. Because at a certain point, this stops being about who won a conversation and starts being about an institution with a budget deciding she's worth money. Season 4, Episode 16, A Second Prodigy and the Hottest Tips for Pouty Lips. President Hagemeyer, who runs East Texas Tech, wants Paige Swanson enrolled at her university. And her plan for landing this kid is to send in the one student she's already got who speaks the language. She asks Sheldon to help recruit her. Sheldon takes the assignment, and then he tries to talk Paige out of coming. He's not asked to evaluate her. He's not asked whether she's good enough. That part's already been decided by the adults above him, and Linda is right there through the recruitment push because this is a real conversation about a real kid's real future. Sheldon's only job is to close it, and instead, he goes in and works against his own school because he does not want Paige Swanson on his campus. Sit with what that behavior means, because it's the most honest scouting report anybody gives in this entire show. Sheldon Cooper does not do this to people. He doesn't fear other students. He walks into rooms full of adults with doctorates and tells them they're wrong to their faces. He's been the youngest person in every academic building he's ever entered, and it has never once occurred to him to be worried about it.
I was the youngest student at the university, and now
I thought I wouldn't understand your problems.
So, when a 10-year-old girl gets invited to his university and his response is sabotage, that tells you something no wiki page and no comment thread can tell you. Think about who has the best information here. Not the president, who's looking at whatever a school looks at when it recruits. Not the fans, who are looking at 9 episodes. Sheldon is the only person alive who is sat across from Paige in a classroom, in a museum, and in a Bible camp. He has the full file. He's run the tests nobody else got to run. And his read, the one he acts on when he thinks nobody's grading him, is that he cannot afford to be on the same campus as her. And notice what the school is actually shopping for here, because it isn't a replacement. Hagemeyer already has Sheldon. She wants both of them, because a university that can say it has 2 10-year-old geniuses wandering around campus has something nobody else in Texas has. That should settle the question of whether Paige was really in his league. Nobody spends that kind of effort chasing the second best kid in the state as a novelty act. They came after her because she was worth having on her own, with Sheldon already signed. There's also something almost sad in the move he picks, because look at what he doesn't do. He doesn't decide to work harder. He doesn't decide to get ahead of her in the coursework. He doesn't welcome appear, which is the thing a genuinely confident person does when somebody good shows up. He tries to keep her off the field entirely, and you only do that when you already know how the game goes if you play it. That's the ceiling of the case for Paige, right there. It doesn't get better than this for her. She's got the professor's attention. She's got range Sheldon can't fake. She's got a university chasing her, which means her ability is real to people with no stake in the rivalry at all. And she's got the smartest kid in Texas so rattled that he'd rather lie to his own school president than share a hallway with her. If the story ended in Season 4, this video would be 4 minutes long, and the title would be about Paige. She'd be the answer to the question, and there wouldn't be much to argue about. And that's the exact spot where almost every argument about these 2 stops, which is the real problem with those threads. Season 4 is the last point in the whole show where Paige looks like she's winning, and it's also the last point most people can actually remember clearly. Everything after this gets a lot less fun, and it also happens to be everything that matters. So that's the peak of it. Paige is getting chased by a university, Sheldon is scared enough to sabotage her. And if the story stopped right there, you'd walk away, sure she had the better shot at everything. But there's a season 3 episode sitting underneath all of this, and until you put it back where it belongs in the timeline, everything you just heard about Paige winning is pointing you in completely the wrong direction. Here's the thing about that recruitment episode that nobody accounts for when they use it as proof. It happens after. Not after the rivalry, after the worst thing that happens to Paige in the entire show. A full season before East Texas Tech ever tries to recruit her as a student, her family already came apart. And once you know that, the whole shape of her story changes, because the version everyone tells goes like this. Paige was winning, and then something went wrong. That's not the order it happened in. The thing that went wrong came first, and she was still good enough to get chased by a university afterward. Season 3, Episode 12, Body Glitter and a Mall Safety Kit. Paige's parents, Linda and Barry, are splitting up, and Paige is not okay. And the person she goes to with it is Sheldon. Think about how strange that is for a second, given everything we've covered. This is the kid he's been trying to beat for 2 seasons. This is his rival, the one who took his professor and embarrassed him at a museum and outcompeted him in a church basement. She has a mom, a dad, and an older sister named Erica. And when her family falls apart, the person she picks is the boy who's been keeping score against her the whole time. His first instinct is exactly what you'd expect, because he treats it like a problem with a solution. He goes at her parents' marriage the way he'd go at a physics question, hunting for the input he can change to fix the output. And it doesn't work, because that's not what she came for. The whole episode is built around him figuring out that the thing she needs from him is for him to stop talking and listen. I want to be careful here, because I'm not going to put words in either of their mouths. The exact lines from that conversation aren't something I can hand you word for word. But the shape of the episode is documented, and it isn't ambiguous. The boy who solves everything gets put in a situation where solving is the wrong move, and he gets there anyway. Then jump forward. Season 5, Episode 17, A Solo Peanut, A Social Butterfly, and the Truth.
So you're a solo peanut.
Damn straight. As a matter of fact.
Paige is enrolled at a university in Austin now, and it isn't East Texas Tech. So wherever all that recruiting went, it didn't end with her on Sheldon's campus. She's a prodigy at a real school with a chaperone named Mona, assigned to keep an eye on her. And she is miserable. Not academically, socially. She feels like an outsider, surrounded by students who are years older than her, and what she wants from Sheldon isn't help with her coursework. She asks him to help her have a normal college experience. There's a nasty little detail in that one too, which is that Sheldon isn't actually the expert she thinks he is. He hasn't told her that he only sort of lives at his dorm and still mostly lives at home with his mother. She's asking the campus veteran how to fit in, and the campus veteran is commuting. And that's the first time these two are clearly not competing anymore, because they want completely different things. She wants to be a person. He wants to be a physicist. You cannot rank 2 kids against each other once they've stopped chasing the same prize, and this is the episode where that stops. So put those 2 episodes back in order with the rest of it and look at what you've actually got. Everybody comparing these 2 kids assumes they were running the same race under the same conditions, and that whoever ends up further ahead must have had more in the tank. They were not running the same race, and it isn't close. Sheldon spends this entire show inside a house that keeps pushing him towards school. Mary fights the school board for him. Connie backs him when nobody else will. George drives him places he clearly does not want to drive him, even when the Cooper family is a mess, and it is a mess constantly. It never stops working as a machine that delivers Sheldon to a classroom. Paige's support system is the thing that broke, and there's a detail in that which is almost too neat.
Paige's issues have nothing to do with our divorce. Sure.
The only reason these 2 kids ever meet anywhere except a classroom is that their mothers get along. Mary and Linda are the bridge. Mary is the one who keeps dragging the Swansons into Cooper family life, right down to signing both kids up for Bible school together. So when Linda's marriage starts falling apart, Mary is right there in the middle of it, trying to help her through it. These 2 families are tangled up with each other, which makes the difference between them even louder. Same town, same church, same kind of impossible kid, and only one of those houses stays standing. There's also something both of these kids are carrying that nobody else on this show has to deal with, and the Austin stuff is where it finally shows up in the open. They are both years younger than every single person they sit next to. Sheldon handles that by burying himself in school and going home to his mother. And it works for him because school is the only place he ever wanted to be anyway. Paige gets dropped into the exact same situation and it eats her alive because she wanted what the other students had, and she was the wrong age to get it. Same gift, same problem, completely different result. And I want to be straight with you about what I can and can't say there, because this is where a lot of videos about Paige go completely off the rails. Her parents split up first. After that, she keeps going with school, gets recruited by a university, enrolls in Austin, has a rough time socially, and then drops out. And the show never actually tells you why she quit. It never says the split is what did it. And it definitely never says her being gifted caused the split, no matter how many times you've seen that one posted, like it's canon. Those things sit next to each other on the timeline, and the writers leave the wiring between them alone. So I'm going to leave it alone too, and just point out the order they happened in. She'd also been sitting in a graduate level class since she was 10, so college was never some later chapter that got taken away from her. It was the first thing we ever saw her do. This is also the spot where the fandom's favorite compliment about Paige turns into a problem for her. People love saying she's the emotionally smarter one, and there's a case for it because she clearly understands that she's being left out in ways Sheldon never seems to register. But being aware of how bad something is doesn't make it hurt less. Some fans argue the opposite, that noticing everything is exactly why she struggles more, and that reading the room is not the same skill as handling what you find in it. Sheldon's blindness protects him. Paige doesn't get that protection. But there's one thing in that season 3 episode that does settle something, and it's the only clean win Sheldon gets in 9 episodes of this rivalry. He listens to her. That's it. That's the whole victory. And notice what it cost him, because to get there, he had to put down the only thing he's ever been good at. Every single loss we've covered came from Sheldon showing up as Sheldon and refusing to change. The one time he beats her, it's because he stopped.
They did that to me here too.
They did?
Yes,
Here's why that matters more than any answer either of them ever got right. Everything Paige does after this point looks like a kid falling apart, and everything Sheldon does looks like a kid staying on the rails. And almost every person arguing about these two online is really arguing about those last few years. But those last few years are also where the show quietly stops keeping score. What happens to Paige at the end of this thing isn't a loss. And once you see what the writers actually left behind, this whole comparison breaks in a way you can't put back together. The reason Sheldon versus Paige isn't close has nothing to do with either of them getting better or worse. It's that they stop competing for the same thing, and only one of them is still on the field when the show ends. Season 6, Episode 13, A Frat Party, a Sleepover, and the Mother of All Blisters. Paige has dropped out of college. She's drinking beer, and she's underage. And the part that should stop you cold is the direction the invitation goes, because she's the one bringing Sheldon to a college party. The kid who was terrified of losing his spot at a university is now getting walked around campus life by the kid who quit.
It's a party, Sheldon.
But we weren't invited, I didn't bring a gift.
At the party, a student tries to hand her a beer, and Sheldon steps in to stop it. That's the last real Sheldon and Paige scene the show gives you, and there's no competition anywhere in it. It's him worrying about her. The boy who once tried to keep her out of his school is now standing between her and a red cup, and neither of them mentions a single thing about physics. Then, Season 6, Episode 16, A Stolen Truck and Going on the Lam. Missy takes George's truck and runs, and she needs somebody to run with. She calls Paige, and Paige says yes, no hesitation, and they drive until a sheriff's deputy pulls them over in Louisiana and sits them in the back of a police car while somebody calls their parents. That phone call is worth slowing down on, because look at how long the show has been building it. Paige and Missy have been circling each other since that sleepover back in Season 2. They're in the same story again at the party in Season 6. So when Missy finally decides she's done and she's getting out, she doesn't call somebody from school, and she doesn't ask her genius brother for help. She calls Paige, and Paige is in the truck. Whatever Paige and Sheldon had going, Paige and Missy quietly ended up with more of it. That's her 9th episode and her last one. She isn't in Season 7 at all, and she never shows up in The Big Bang Theory, not once, not as a name in a conversation, not as a face at a conference.
There's a note.
The reason for that is boring and has nothing to do with the story, because the character got invented when the older show was already almost over. But the effect on the story is enormous, because it means the last thing anybody ever tells you about Paige Swanson is that she got picked up by a deputy in another state. Now the other half, and this is the part that's actually finished. Sheldon leaves Texas. He goes to Caltech. He spends his adult life doing exactly the thing he was doing at 10. And in 2019, he shares the Nobel Prize in Physics with Amy Farrah Fowler for superasymmetry. There's a year attached to it. There's a category. There's another name on the certificate next to his. And notice which one of them the story actually follows out of Texas. Sheldon leaves, and the show goes with him, all the way to California, all the way to a career, all the way to a prize with a date stamped on it. Paige gets put in the back of a police car in Louisiana, and that's the last place the show ever bothers to look at her. Two kids from the same town, same age, same impossible gift, and only one of them gets taken anywhere on purpose. And that's the asymmetry that makes this whole argument unwinnable in a way most people never notice, because it isn't about ability at all. One of these kids has an ending, the other one doesn't have anything. No adult career, no degree, no job, no marriage, no comeback, no tragedy, no death, no scene where she runs into him years later at a lecture and they finally settle it. Nothing. People will tell you she became a mess, and people will tell you she got it together, and both of those are fan fiction, because the record just stops. So let me knock down both of the lazy reads, since they're the two things you'll hear in every comment thread about this. Dropping out of college doesn't lower what Paige can do. It's a decision and a status, and that's all it is. She was good enough for a university to send a recruiter after her, and quitting a school doesn't reach back in time and take that away from her. There's a whole side of the fandom that treats her dropout like a final score, and it isn't one. It's a Tuesday in season 6, and a Nobel Prize doesn't prove Sheldon was ever the sharper 10-year-old. It proves he kept going. It proves he had 30 more years of a stable enough life to keep pointing himself at the same problem, with a family that fed him into school and an institution that held on to him. Sticking with something, having people behind you, and actually wanting the life adults built for you are not the same thing as raw ability. And the show is honest enough to keep those separate, even when the fandom won't. Which leaves you with the real answer, and it's uglier than picking a winner. The comparison isn't close because it was never symmetrical. Two kids get handed almost the same gift, and one of them gets a documented life, and the other gets 9 episodes and a phone call. This was never a story about which prodigy was better. It's a story about what happens when the same ability lands in two houses that are not built the same way. And the show is completely willing to let you sit with the fact that only one of those kids got followed all the way to the finish. And that's why the fandom keeps writing her ending for her. Every few months, somebody posts and asks what happened to Paige, and 100 people show up to invent it, because a kid that sharp is not supposed to just stop being on the show. They give her a degree she never earned on screen. They give her a career, a recovery, a life. They're not doing that for any other kid on this show, and they're doing it for her because the writers left a hole exactly the size of a person. But she does stop, and the last decision they ever give her isn't an equation or a test or a rematch with the boy she spent 5 seasons beating. It's a ringing phone, and Missy on the other end of it. And the fact that when somebody finally called Paige Swanson because they actually needed her, it wasn't the genius. If you want the full breakdown of what really happened to Paige Swanson, that video is on screen now.